Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Philadelphia Fusion just closed out our first match of the day with a 3-1 victory over the Florida Mayhem. And with that, they will end the week 1-1. And I had to just wipe the drool off my mouth after that Saya player and Carpe Widowmaker battle. It was pretty dope, right? Pretty dope. Those guys were going at it. All right. Up next, we have the Houston Outlaws going toe-to-toe with the Boston Uprising. Both of these teams had big wins to begin the week. The Houston Outlaws took out the London Spitfire, and the Boston Uprising took out the Philadelphia Fusion. So now, these guys are trying to close out the week undefeated. The thing is, these two teams have faced off in the regular season twice, and the Houston Outlaws have taken both matches. In fact, the last match these two teams played against each other, the Houston Outlaws beat the brakes off of the Boston Uprising. So the Uprising definitely have revenge on their mind. Where are my Outlaws and Uprising fans at? You here? Give them your energy, and let's go ahead and get into this match and send it on over to Puckett and the boys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Malik. Keep it going, Blizzard Arena. We are going into match number 2 today, and this is going to be a great one. It's Puckett here with Sideshow and Johnny, the Brit, the Swede, our experts for the day. Johnny, a little shaky on your predictions. We'll get into that because it's Prediction Saturday. First, though, we got to look at the schedule because it's a super Saturday. So many great games coming your way. You just saw the Fusion over top of the Mayhem. Later on, we get the #1 New York XL going up against the #2 London Spitfire. But right now, we got to jump in here with Houston versus Boston. And as you look at the overall standings, look how tight this is. Houston at #5, Boston at #6. Only a map count in between them. A match win here for Boston jumps up over top of them on the leaderboard.
Yeah, very interesting to see how this develops. I mean, map differential, the only separator. These teams couldn't be any closer.
And looking at the numbers here, it's been very impressive for both teams as of late. You have Houston on a 3-match win streak. They've most recently taken down Seoul. They've taken down London. Will they be able to add Boston to the list, who is on a 5-match win streak coming into today?
Yes, but the crucial point about that is the last 4 wins that Boston have had have been 3-2 games that they've had to clutch in the final match. So this is a difficult one, and they're going up against Houston, who have the perfect counter to their kind of dive-heavy playstyle, in my opinion.
And we saw that counter working out for Houston against London. How do the playstyles compare in your eyes today, Johnny?
Well, we talked about the meta, right? It's a bit slower, so it suits the Houston Outlaws a bit better, especially Jake on the Junkrat, and that is going to be the staple pillar of this Houston Outlaws team. He was so good versus the London Spitfire, and they just couldn't deal with all of this poke, all of this spam damage coming in. They dealt with the tires pretty well, but overall it was the damage output, the concussive mines coming out of Jake, of course, that was the problem for the London Spitfire, and so we expect more of this moving forward this stage. Jake is so annoying on this Junkrat and plays so well into the
Yeah, and it's kind of like flashes back to when they were really dominant in stage 1 and made the stage finals. With the Junkrat back in play, they can play their own style again.
Tracer, will we see a whole lot of her today? Well, we know it's going to be on the Boston side from Striker, but I think if you're a Houston fan, the man you got to look out for the Boston Uprising today is Dream Casper. If you watch the way he played against Philadelphia, his FAR was incredible. Every hero he picked up, he made great use of.
Absolutely, Pharah, one of his best heroes, but also the Genji. What I like about Dream Casper is he's pretty much the one dictating what style the Boston Uprising plays, much like Libero for the New York Excelsior. So Dream Casper, he is the guy to look out for today. What he plays determines what the Boston Uprising is looking to do. So I'm looking out for Dream Casper today to be the player for the Boston Uprising to win the game. But overall, you gotta look at the map pool side, Joe.
What's the best hero that you can counter Jake's Junkrat on if you're Dream Casper today?
Well, you have multiple options, in my opinion. You can either go for a more pick-heavy style with the Widowmaker, or you can just simply dive if you're good enough. It didn't work out for London, but it's possible.
All right, Sideshow, you mentioned backstage. It's all going to come down to the maps today. When you look at the numbers, who's got the edge in this best of 4?
Well, it's incredibly interesting, actually, because when you look at it, we've got 2 teams that have an unbeaten map in their pool. Look at that. Boston Uprising have never lost Anubis across the whole of the Overwatch League. And scroll down to the bottom left, that's Junkertown that is unbeaten for the Houston Outlaws. Also, Boston Uprising super good on these control maps. So when you're looking at how they play out overall, the keys there are Nepal and Numbani. I think it sways slightly more towards the Houston Outlaws. I think they might even be able to put up a fight on Anubis, despite the fact that Boston are unbeaten. But this is a crazily split, insanely close game between
And
these
if
two
we
teams.
go to Game 5, Boston Uprising, they've proven very recently that they are so good in clutch time. So Houston has to win it in 3, in my opinion.
Boston's been so clutch in those Game 5s. Houston, though, got their Game 5 win over London earlier in the week. So let's make it official here, guys. Teams have even records if it goes to Oasis. How does this one play out, starting with you, Johnny?
I actually think that the Houston Outlaws will be on the up and up this stage. But overall, I'm actually going with the Boston Uprising for this one because they went really even with the Philadelphia Fusion. And I don't think you can sleep anymore on the Boston Uprising. This is a team with a lot of skill players. They suit in this slower style with Kellex on the Mercy. I think a lot of research backs up Boston Uprising for this.
I think
It's a safe
the
pick.
only person that cheered alongside you was a Boston staff member. Everyone else must be at PAX right now.
I love you, man.
Sideshow, where are you going
Go.
today?
So I've heard this don't sleep on Boston since the very beginning. Nobody is underestimating Boston anymore. I am going for the Houston Outlaws here. They've been able to beat Boston Uprising twice so far in the season. They have a style that counters Boston really well, and they have the unbeaten Junkertown in this pool. I agree with Johnny. They have to do it in 3. It's a 3-1 for Houston Outlaws.
I mean, Houston is pretty tiring to me, I have to say.
Pretty tiring? I like it. We're going to get exhausted
Terrible
today.
pun.
Lots of
Terrible
Game
pun.
5s coming your way. I ignore Johnny sometimes. You should do the same. We're not giving Junkrat 6 minds, but we will introduce you to our first 6 players. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the Houston Outlaws. Boink in the mix today. Linkser, their star DPS from Finland, coming out as player number 2. But this squad, we talked about it, 3 matches in a row, and they're doing it over the Juggernaut squads.
And we have to say, integrating Boeing more into these kind of maps, despite only control maps, I think it's pretty interesting to see what their strategy is. Last time we saw Jake on the Sombra and on the Junkrat. We'll see if they impress today, and maybe Boeing can make a difference on the assault maps.
Yeah, I wasn't really convinced by that Sombra play coming out from Jake last time, but they've had a chance to review their strategies, realize what worked and realize what didn't, and potentially just put him back for a really big defense of Junkrat.
Yeah, and you have to say, like, when Jake is playing these heroes, that frees Linkser up to play the Tracer, which is a massive improvement. You now have a Linkser on the Tracer, which is way better than what they've had in the past, so a huge boon for Houston Outlaws.
When we were watching Houston earlier in the week, it was that man, Cool Matt, that walked away with the player of the match honors. His diva was incredible.
And he has to have a stellar performance, because if you're playing a dive style like the Boston Uprising, Coolmat's got to be there peeling them away. It's Coolmat and Jake that have got to win this game for them.
They've done the cross-country marketing tour. They're on TV. They're back on your stage for another game here to open things up in Stage 3. That's a look at the starting 6 for the Houston Outlaws. It's time to meet their opponents. Please give it up for the Boston Uprising. What an awesome crowd we got here in the Blizzard Arena today. Both teams getting a lot of love. Kellex coming out first for this squad. When you look at Boston, though, we talked about Dreamcasper. We talked about the dive from this team. What should the fans know about this squad as they take this?
Well, I think they, as well as Houston Outlaws, couldn't really ramp up with the tempo during Stage 2. So it's a team that is very similar to the Houston Outlaws, in my opinion. They share the same struggle, but going into this meta, they also like the slower pace style, I think. They're playing dive, but they're playing with a Mercy, and they like poking a bit more. So this is a team that is pretty comparable to the Houston Outlaws, in my opinion. And so I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup.
Boston Uprising have a very interesting style, because they do prefer the slower pace of the game, but I think that's because it allows them to set up into perfect positions, and then they're lightning fast when they actually do attack, and they like to push a lot of people in. So they put Houston under a huge amount of pressure. I expect them to come out with great performances on a couple of these maps. We talked about Anubis. They can get off to a great start here, but Houston are going to be a tough opponent for Boston.
You see the calm confidence from Gamsu and Dreamcasper. Neko, who is one of their support players, he was jumping up and down off stage. They're ready to go. Boston knows how important this match is, and we have a feeling this one is going the distance. Johnny's with Boston. Sideshow is with the Houston Outlaws. It's time to get this match started. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena, as we send it to our casters. It's Uber and Mr. X on the mic.
Ah, yeah, thank you very much, Puckett. We've been waiting for this rematch. But last time, Houston and Boston went head-to-head. It was actually back in pretty much the start of stage 2, right, where we did see the Uprising have a very slow beginning to that stage.
Yeah, I mean, they started out stage 2, 0-2. They lose to the Outlaws there 4-0. It's a really dominant performance from the Houston Outlaws. I know, safe to say, though, this is a good assault map pool for Boston, right? Undefeated on Anubis and Volskaya, in stage 1 and 2, respectively. So they'll have a very good map at the start, but you also look at the Outlaws, right? They can do a lot of nice things here with Junkrat, Widowmaker, so it's going to be a very close series all throughout.
Yeah, we saw the breakdown of the map records. Junkatown looking like a very good map for the Outlaws. So again, if they can kind of get through the gauntlet of the first 3 map, they can pick up a win on Numbani, then it'll be looking much better. But here we go, Temple of Anubis to kick us off here. Both these two teams won their last 3, so been a good run for the Outlaws. They're starting to look a little bit like, you know, that strong unit we did see sort of in that previous stage and even a little bit in stage 1.
Yeah, and I think this meta will actually be pretty good for the Houston Outlaws. Against a Sombra, one thing you can definitely do against her is just play a lot of spam compositions, right? Just spam chokes, obviously get her out of invis, use translocator a little bit earlier. Who's great at spamming chokes? Junkrat. Junkrat's phenomenal for things like that. If you wanted to play a little bit of a slower comp, if they go dive, a lot of these maps have some high ground where you can set some really slow, defensive setups up where you could see the Outlaws really shine.
And if you tuned in yesterday between the Shock and the Dynasty, we saw Wakid piloting the Junkrat on defense on this map and caused a lot of problems for San Francisco as they tried to get onto that point B and finish the map. They had such a good start, San Francisco, but it all fell apart after that. So Striker on the Junkrat here, bringing that one through. See what the Outlaws fancy here.
This seems to be a little bit different than what Boston used to do, Mitch. It seems like, in the past, when they wanted to run Junkrat, it's Dreamcast who would play Junkrat, and Striker would take up that Widowmaker responsibility. But looks like a little bit of a change. I think as Striker gets more comfortable on these other heroes, it just gives them even more options.
Well, in all fairness, Matt, a non-dive defense for Boston is actually kind of uncommon in and of itself. And on maps like Volskaya Industries, we see the boys in the blue and yellow come out with the Genji Tracer or a Sombra, mixed in there. So this is a bit different, a bit more defensive setup. But the Houston Outlaws, ladies and gentlemen, they're back. They're looking better this stage, and they're here to do some damage. They're going to be attacking here in the green and white. And they're going to have a Linkser, of course, and the Widowmaker. Jake, the Tracer.
We know the things that Linkser can do on Widowmaker, the best counter sniper in the league. Currently leads the league.
Statistically speaking,
leads the league in kills on opposing Widowmakers while playing Widowmaker. So if you want this Widowmaker battle, you definitely will opt into it if you're Houston. The issue is you have this Orisa shield, right? You can't really shoot behind it. The way you play against the Orisa is just kind of push past it.
Oh,
right?
why are you challenging that?
That is a sick opening shot there. You'll res it right back up, though.
Again, pretty tricky to get behind the shield. If you don't sort of do a lot of damage to it early on, Gamsu's going to be able to keep refreshing that one. The cooldown is actually quite low. Dream Casper, glancing fire, coming in from Jake. He's trying to work in the left-hand side. And links it down again. Might be tough to break through this one. We already saw this, Matt. We already saw Carpe and the Fusion try and take on Dream Casper. Previously in that epic 5-map affair, Casper's up to the task.
Yeah, and I think if you don't see this work for the Houston Outlaws, you'll probably see Jake go over to Sombra. Linkser can play Tracer then, and you really start to dive on in. Dreamcast will have Infrasight as they see a fast pool maps getting chunked down. Whether it's the Junkrat, grenades, or those sniper shots that are coming out from Dreamcast are not even able to make it through the choke.
Okay, Matt. Widowmaker not really working out so far for the Outlaws here. The Tracer not making a huge impact. What's the switch up here with Gamsu being rezzed after Jake bombed him?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think eventually you'll see them go to, a little bit more of, I don't want to say like the standard for dive comps now, but it seems to be more prevalent where you're seeing Tracer in Sombra. Linkser will switch to Genji. So this will be what we were used to, in terms of your dive comps in the past.
Can you safely get that ultimate percentage of Sombra attacking on this map? Is it still a bit risky to try and throw in?
It is, but there's, some good health packs to have on the offensive side, right? You can get control of the Mega, allow your team to get in a little bit. So there are definitely some health packs you can go for. Striker with the gonna connect with Boink as he's in Valkyrie. Kellix also has his Valkyrie for Boston now, so keeping everybody topped up. Fight the Outlaws will lose, they'll back on out.
Full dive for the Houston Outlaws. Linkser on the Genji to try and supplement Jake's Tracer. And yet the Boston Uprising looked like they barely took a scratch in that previous fight. Kellix The use of the Valkyrie was very timely to give that extra healing, and Muma got staggered out pretty nastily here. Jake trying to get something for his money, but he's going to have to get out.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of Genji being played in Stage 3, and that's because when a lot of teams run Sombra on the opposite side,
Can't even climb walls anymore.
can't even climb walls anymore, right? So no escapability, that's when you usually see Free come out. Neko actually takes out Boink here, so you still have to wait even longer for the Outlaws. They do have Transcendence. I think if you're Houston, you come into this fight, you try and force that Transcendence, you come back with Transcendence and play it maybe in the fight after, but then you're playing against the clock, only a minute to go.
Muma comes in, he was already about half HP, so he's had to use a Primal Rage almost instantly. Look at the Discord Orb. He got chucked down so heavily, but the Transcendence is going to be thrown in just to help with that one. A lot of healing available, and it looks like the Outlaws have come up with a winning formula this time around. At least so far, so good. Note tries to burst Corman out of his mech, but the whole time Boink was waiting in the wings with the healing of his own. A self-destruct will be thrown in over the top, but it doesn't quite get over the lip, so really won't be very effective. Might let him get into remech, but that's about it. But Note can't do too much with the rest of his team not present. They can't even access that point.
Yeah, Boston will back out. You saw a really nice play from Muma when he used Primal Rage. He went on top, put some pressure on Dreamcaster, knocked him down to the ground, jumped back, got rid of that Orisa supercharger, so Boston loses all of that damage output from there. And then he jumps over the wall, and he actually kind of like pins Neko in the corner, and Coolmat is right there to clean that kill up. So that's where you see the great teamwork that these tank players on Houston, put the great work.
Yeah, multiple potential World Cup candidates on both of these teams, to be honest. It's always good to see Muma really display that prowess in the tank role. Jake gets picked off early on in the fight. It's an attacking Junkrat here, so perhaps Jake's just looking to crack open a fight with a well-placed Riptire, or just really win the poke war against Boston if they can get up close, working through onto point B.
Well, it makes it hard, Dreamcaster's life a little bit harder now that he's playing Sombra, because, Jake connects with one grenade, maybe a mine, and that Sombra is very low, if not dead. So, and also Riptire is such a great ult. It'll be Linkster leading the way, though, with the Dragon Blade. He gets one. He does fall to Striker's Riptire.
Yeah, Striker just trying to answer a potential snowball loss in that fight, but Kellex used his Valkyrie and was cut down almost immediately. This fight isn't done yet. Boink brings Boomer back into the fray, but Casper's flanking around the side. He got Jake trying to get himself towards an EMP. He won't have it this fight, but it's okay for the Uprising. They managed to stave off the Outlaws for the time being.
And that's where you see Sombra come into play when she's in control of that mega health pack underneath, because Jake is going to most likely sit underneath there and just kind of spam up with some mines, and then he's going to go back, farm that health pack and whatnot, and you see the health pack controlled by Dreamcast.
It bears mentioning that Dreamcasper's no longer getting ultimate charge from people using that hacked health pack,
But just denying.
it spawns quicker, and that's right, the Outlaws still can't use it. Casper gets plenty of ult percentage just from doing damage at a safe distance now, with the spread of the Sombra Uzi being reduced so much. Striker's down, though. It's a bit of Junkrat on Junkrat shenanigans. Linkster tries to get to the point before he gets hacked. It's a recall to get himself out of trouble. This is very thin margins with only 0.6 seconds before you get hacked up, and Casper's going to bring the EMP in. It's a self-destruct over the top here. Raucus the Transcendence over the point, getting his team on the low ground. They might not be able to have that health pack, but Raucus is giving them a ton of healing per second. Lynx is down to Dreamcasper. Jake lobs up the mine here. It's a Riptire time. Let's see, man, if he can break this fight open. It's Note to fall.
Yeah, he does get Note, but Dreamcaster doing a lot of work with these hacks, Mitch. He gets 2 with EMP, then he hacks Linkster on the point, takes away his abilities. It'll be a Riptire that comes in from Striker, D-Max, Coolmat, and takes out Boink. And that'll pretty much be the fight.
Okay, so let's take stock of that last engagement, Matt, because it was sort of staggered out fairly long. We had that EMP. Transcendence was used by Raucus there. We saw Riptires traded off. The Boston Uprising still had that Valkyrie going to the next fight, as did the Outlaws. That's about it, though, really.
Yeah, I mean, Linkster will have a pulse bomb as well. He'll be able to farm that one up pretty quickly.
Oh, no!
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Can't do it from spawn, big fella!
I know, trying to move in. Gets taken out. It's very difficult to play Tracer against this comp, right? Because on Anubis, you kind of have that just one alleyway, down the middle. You have this one that Neko's looking at towards the side.
Which is not even directly, so it sort of takes an L turn.
You can almost play like one player on each side of the map, right? Striker can just keep just throwing grenades down the middle alleyway. You can have Neko watching that left side.
That punctuation point's so perfect.
And then on the right-hand side all the way, if you want to push through there, if that's where Dreamcaster's playing, he can get free hacks. He can hack that health pack over there, deny you any healing if you go in that close court area. And then you're denied that extra healing from the health pack and whatnot. Then they just start spamming it with the Junkrat, and there's nothing you can really do.
Bro, I love me, the Outlaws, as much as anyone else, but I do not feel sympathetic seeing a Junkrat start to make their life hard. Striker's close to a Riptide. I mean, we've pretty much almost got all of our ultimates farmed up. Both teams have just tried to poke and position and just try and, you know, gain an edge and advantage in terms of where they're set up here. So we're going to have another fight with a lot of these resources committed to it. 20 seconds remain in this round. The Outlaws have to get some progress on the point here. But Striker looks to really throw a spanner in the works. The Riptide across the point, he's got 2! That's far more than you expect to get at this juncture. That's so nasty. Boink needs to respond, but it's too dangerous for him to go in and get any sort of resurrect. And Jake now needs to do something big with this one. He'll have to set off a Gamsu, but it doesn't even get the kill because the Primal Rage was used by both Winstons to keep them topped up. You can see that Raucus is staying in there with the EMP. Cuts him down awful fast. And Muma kind of just breaking it down to the catacombs there, but there's really not much to be done for the Winston on his own. Raucus was stripped away from him, his key healing resource down. Now Linksa tries to enter the point here. Coolmat's done work getting Note out of his mech and dealing with Casper, but Gamsu not really paying him any heed for the time being, and that allows Coolmat to go in and get rid of Neko as well. 3 big kills, or 2 in a D-Mech there. Nicely played for Coolmat, and now Linksa has to do it on his own as well. Here come the reinforcements, straight on top, like a big old bouncy castle. Not that Linksa was aware.
And Anubis is such a hard map when you go to point B to just create space, and that's why you see Linksa trying to go on these flanks and get to the point to draw players back, because on a lot of maps we talk about, you know, how important it is for the tanks to create space. It's very difficult for them to do that on point B, but let's listen in to Houston on their point A attack.
Going now, going now, going now. I'm in the air. I'm on the Mercy. Mercy's low.
I'm on the...
Mercy, one, Mercy, one. I'm chasing point. Mercy's dead.
I got you, Judy.
I have to run. I'm running on the bridge now. I'm running on
I
the
got
bridge.
you, got you. Junkyard half in Pilsner. The dense coast bottom left.
I'm on the Zen, I'm on the Zen, I'm on the Zen.
Help cool, Matt. I need heals. Junkrat's no heals on point. He's
Over
supported.
you. On the wrist, I'm killing the wrist. Come to me, boy, come point. I'm killing him anymore, I can't kill him.
There's a bomb up top.
I got him.
So you can hear Raucus there as well when he's saying, I'm on the Zen or I'm on the Mercy. It means he's discorded them, right? So they start that fight off. Discord orb to Kellex. And you see that Linksa was in a position where he could actually get the finish on the kill there just with a Swift Strike. Really opening it up there. Especially considering Kellex is getting a lot of value out of sitting back. You know, healing their Orisa especially. Make it very hard to shift the Uprising from that sort of raised platform.
And I think, obviously, there's the point A attack that's successful for the Outlaws. I think, you know, towards the end there, when they're going towards point B, we actually saw Muma use Primal Rage. He's knocking players into that back left. He's not able to make it back to the point with Primal Rage, which he probably would have liked to, because then that's where all his healing is coming from with Raucus and Boink over there, because he gets hacked by Dreamcaster on that far right side. So not able to jump there as Winston, not able to make it on back. You see Sombra just really affect the meta so far in stage 3.
But on that note, welcome back to stage 1. The Houston Outlaws set up on that high ground position. They use a May to boost up Muma and Linksa. So, well, Linksa doesn't really need it, but he's there anyway. So they're going to have high ground control. They're going to have the advantage in the Widow battle, as Lynx is going to have a shield now to sit behind, much as Casper did earlier on. But Boston is straight to the Genji Tracer.
And I like that Boston is doing that. You're not going to play into this Widow versus Widow battle, especially when Houston has the high ground and they have the barrier to hide behind.
The odds are forever not in your favor if you're attacking into this.
Boston not wasting any time, not even going to try for it. They're just going to try and dive this straight away.
Linksa, here's the Genji. He knows Casper's there, and Casper's reflect just finished its channel animation. So Linksa, the timing was rather fortuitous, if I'm honest. And now
Coolmat takes advantage of that early pickoff. Now you see Boston's dive coming in, but they had already lost both supports. Coolmat jumps right on that pick from Linksa and pushes on forward, gets both. But right now, you know, it's a 3v3 on the point. It may not even matter.
Yeah, Muma's set up on the other side, so actually can't help Jake and Coolmat on this ledge right now, and that's dangerous because Casper finds one. Coolmat's at least able to respond, and Diva is probably one of the best 1v1 heroes at the moment, maybe except for Sombra. So he can do a lot with that mech, but now he's getting ganged up on because Kellex and Striker are both there. It's just Muma and Linksa. So Linksa now can't do much with the shield there. He gets Dreamcast, but he's being pushed. Peeking over the ledge now for the Widowmaker is a dangerous task. He needs to cut down the numbers on this point though, and now Muma drops in with the Orisa.
And this is where he struggled with Orisa on this point, because once she actually drops down onto the point, it's an easy target.
Just get right behind her.
It's an easy target for heroes like Genji and Tracer, but Muma still staying alive. He'll put down the supercharger. It's going to be Coolmat who gets onto the point, trying to contest.
This could be dangerous here. If the Outlaws get staggered out too much trying to defend this first point, it could be a quick switch for Boston over to the second. We'll see if they try and chase here. So they want to stagger Coolmat out, but they lose Note doing so. Do not mess with Coolmat when he's got the body blaster. Haven't you learned yet? Note goes down, and they won't be able to push quickly on the second.
Yeah, they had lost Neko and then losing Note there. It's actually a pretty good kill there.
That should not happen if you're in a 1v an XV1 scenario. It should not happen.
No support ults here for Houston just yet. They're going to get very close to them before this next fight, but I know Jake may need to make a big play with the Riptire up against this Dragon Blade of Dreamcaster if they decide to push in with it.
Right, Striker currently is battling Linksa. Life and death on that left-hand side, and Linksa wins that out, which allows him to go and get Neko as well. So pretty much the one-man army right now. Linksa's Tracer, you know, it's funny because he said, you know, when Houston started to make some switches up and roll and have Linksa on that Tracer, he's like, well, I never really played Tracer on a top roster. Like, I'm not really sure if that's going to be my go-to. And then all of a sudden, he's just wrecking nerds. So, I mean, you know, take your pick.
I mean, I think just having him committed to Tracer, right? I mean,
the Discord orb, nice.
Genji on so many other teams, right? Widowmaker as well. It's just McCree, too. It's just, you know, you dedicate him to playing Tracer, he's talented enough. He'll figure it out.
I think you're right. Dive in here on Raw, because you can see he was the target, but Gam's kind of on his own still. He's got a lot of damage to stick. Discord Orb was hurriedly thrown over on that enemy Winston by the Outlaws, and Casper now has space. You see what happened there with Gamsi going into the corner? Casper just waltzes onto the point because all of the Outlaws have sort of peeled back to try to protect Raucus.
Yeah, Gamsu can go that deep because he gets healed up by Valkyrie from Kellex and has Primal Rage. And then Neko also used the Transcendence to keep everybody up. I think they're holding on to this blade because Raucus is going to use this Transcendence right after this wears off. Then you're going to see this Dragon Blade come through.
The Reinhardt going to come out for movement. Not quite the symmetrical wall hoping for, but can it make the difference? That's a big question. So far, it's looking like that's going to be unlikely. The Boston Uprising get it done. They only needed one tick. And it all started with that engage. Gamsu flying in at a rate of knots. Houston scrabbling to respond, and then all of a sudden Boston just dispersed themselves over that point. And that's when the pressure started to mount.
Yeah, it's so hard to create that space on point B, but Gamsu did a phenomenal job of it there. He has to go so deep on that right-hand side, all the way back pretty much to the Outlaw spawn, but with the series of ultimates they had, they were able to make that kind of commitment. They're able to take the point in the map.
Now, big show up here for the Boston Uprising, not playing into going for some silly Widow battle, just playing into what they're good at, their dive. Stellar, as always. The Outlaws, many more opportunities to get maps here. We'll see you after the break. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Impressive work from Boston.
The Outlaws start strong, rack him up and knock him down. It's the links away from start to finish.
Mako has killed 2. That is enormous.
But the kills coming in from Dreamcasper as well. Getting shut down by Raucus now. Don't you dare, nasty cheeky boy!
Oh, this could be big. Hanging on by a thread. And now Houston's turning it around.
What is this?
The Boston Uprising hasn't lost a match in a month or so. However, all recent matches they did play were rather close affairs. Prior to this match, I got to talk to Dreamcasper and Kellex, who told me that due to those scores, they didn't really feel that dominant, and they furthermore said that the majority of their struggles were actually on hybrid and escort maps. When I asked what the struggle is on these maps, they said it's kind of all coming down to ult management. For some odd reason, on these kind of maps, they always struggle with their ult management. There is miscommunication. They very often pop their ults at the same time, and yeah, you don't really want your ults to overlap too often, do you? Now, the next map is going to be Numbani, a hybrid map. Let's see how the Boston Uprising will fare. And for all the action, we're heading over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Zoe. And I think we talked about this a little bit earlier on, Matt, and this hybrid escort map is an opportunity for the Outlaws to elongate that series, make sure they get it to the map 4, map 5 kind of scenario here. Because, again, we know how good Boston are on assault maps, and also Ilios is in this same pool, which has been incredibly good for them.
Yeah, and I think, look, map 1, not really much of a surprise there. As Boston is undefeated on Volskaya in Anubis. We do have one sub coming in for you guys on this map. It'll be Bonnie, who comes in for Boink. Most likely means you want to run a little bit more Mercy than you did on the previous maps.
Yeah, you could, we've seen Barney as well play a fair bit of Ana as well. Ana defensively on Numbani isn't terrible, especially against Dive.
You do have Junkertown in this
Oh,
map
it's Nepal, sorry, not Ilios.
So,
okay.
Junkertown is a map that's been pretty good for the Houston Outlaws.
I think they're 5-0.
Yeah,
5-0 last 5 matches.
So you, this is going to be a very close series from front to back.
I'm feeling it. I mean, for the Boston Uprising, though, it's a struggle because this would have been their 6th series in a row that goes to 5. And for the Outlaws, they obviously played up real close against London and went to all 5. So these 2 teams are getting plenty of Overwatch played in this last week or so, Matt. Love to see it.
I think the winner, it's kind of like you'd have to look at the rest of the series, obviously, throughout stage 3. And obviously, a lot of different ways things can go. But this match right here, obviously week 1, could very well decide who has a spot in the stage playoffs. Well, I think both these teams are that good that they potentially could kind of roll all the way through the rest of the stage.
If you want to take the measure of a team at this level, look at who they vanquished recently. For Houston, it was London. For Boston, it was Philadelphia. I mean, we're looking at, top 3 teams have already fallen to these 2 we're watching right now. That's what we kind of like to see, a bit more of that parity creeping in here in stage 3.
I mean, you kind of, up until this point, right, NYXL and London are pretty much locks for like that stage playoffs, I would say. You kind of look, and it's what? Seoul, Boston, Houston, Philly, the Gladiators, a new look Valiant. So you have like 6 teams fighting for really 2 spots. These games that go like 50-50 between those 6 teams are really going to decide who's going to be there at the end.
Isn't that every time we say, oh, why isn't Seoul in the stage playoffs? Oh, that's right. It's that one match in week 2.
Not even the match. It's the maps. It's a map to Shanghai. It's a map to
it's a map
Shock.
to everybody.
It's a map to everybody. Dallas as well. So
let's assess, Matt, the efficacy of Boston's defensive setup. They got Dreamcasper on the 76s, so they definitely do want to use that Ana 76 combo, kind of like hide and seek with Soldier 76.
I like this from Houston on offense. Raucus will play 76. We know Raucus has a hero pool that's a little bit larger than some of the other support players.
That's right.
You can play some Roadhog, some Soldier,
triple DPS.
Widowmaker in the past.
Attacking Junkrat?
It's interesting with the Junkrat, because usually you would play this with like a dive, right? You'd play like Tracer Genji with the Mercy and then a 76, and you wouldn't even play for this position, you'd play for the high ground. So a little bit of a different look here from the Outlaws at the beginning.
Yeah, Tyrong must have, maybe this is catered for the Boston Uprising in some way. I mean, the damage is definitely there. You can see they're forcing the map. So perhaps the zone control, get the Boston Uprising into the choke in that underpass and then sort of pelt them. Raucus now being jumped upon, but again, Biotic Field is always going to be there to keep the 76 topped up. Nice and healthy, give him his vitamins in his old age. And it'll just lay it down on Dreamcasper. You can see Lisa sat on the point. They've almost got themselves 2 ticks. Something scaring the Uprising away from diving on this.
I think it's the Junkrat Soldier combination with just so much just chip damage coming in from the Soldier 76. You don't want to get close to the Soldier, a little bit weak, and then the Junkrat just blasts you up. You're also giving ult charge over to Bonnie. So Bonnie will have Valkyrie, you'll have Riptire here, Attack Visor for both teams.
Very interesting. So Jake wants to set up here and deny the left side, allow his whole team just to push and not get flank shot. I'm not really sure. This Riptire gonna go straight through the shield. Who's Jay looking for? Maybe Casper. Yeah, that's a Helix rocket, mate. Send that one back. Vulcanized rubber? I don't think so. But now Raucus in a position here to just try and work down. His attack visor didn't get too much double Dream. Casper's got the nano boost to boost. And now Coolmat's gonna drop on in, desuited. Be about it, really. The Boston Uprising should be able to stave off the Outlaws again.
Yeah, here's where you miss. Well, it's actually about even. I was going to say, here's where you miss that second support ultimate that comes through for Boston Uprising. They don't have a sustained one like a Sound Barrier or a Valkyrie. But there's only one support on the side for the Outlaws. Now it'll be a change-up. Raucus will play Zen. Here's something they haven't played in a while. I really liked how Jake was playing his Genji towards the end of, stage 1 where we saw it on Oasis. We didn't really see much of it in stage 2. They kind of put him on the tracer.
Really good Oasis rounds, I recall that.
He's had some really good Genji play in Overwatch League. We just haven't seen it that often. I'm happy to see the Outlaws making this change where Linkster will play Tracer and Jake will play that Genji.
Boomer's died on the backline of the Uprising, so keep an eye on those health bars up the top. He's trying to get some work done on the supports. And Striker trying to flank Raucus. He's very low. You might have to leave it there, though. Pulse Bomb coming fairly close, but the self-destruct dealing with notice. Not a great sign for the Boston Uprising. Again, they don't really have much of a margin of error. Gamsu can do a lot here, though. Boomer's low for being healed up, and Gamsu has no support where he's sat there. Nice body grenade. Both Coolmat and Jake are affected by it. Coolmat's going to get desuited. Great response from Kellex. Striker tries to get in now. Dream Casper walks up under the protection of the defense matrix, but he gets slashed through. Moomer doing some serious work, and Jake has a Dragon Blade that he just won't need.
Yeah, they're able to push Boston all the way back, finally, with this dive. The switch to the Zenyatta, obviously, then Genji as well, provided that a little bit of extra damage that takes them the distance. I thought Dreamcaster also played that both of those fights really well, just on 76. Stayed alive for so long under that bridge, putting down so much damage for the Boston Uprising. 35% of overall team damage to this point.
Rough one for the Boston Uprising because they almost gave 2 full ticks sort of without resistance on that first push from the Outlaws. So Gamsu had to throw himself at the point and get burst down 1v4. That was when Casper and Note tried to walk up. Really have the opportunity to get all their numbers in order. Get the accounting done.
Big advantage for the Outlaws here, Mitch. Blade plus Transcendence and Valkyrie. They can stagger these ultimates and get all the way through this second stage rather quickly.
Could really break open the fight. We've seen it snowball pretty hard this part of the map. Linkster attempted to go deep with a pulse bomb there. He didn't find it. I think at the time he was looking for Kellex, who was able to avoid that. So might be seeing Jake call upon the Dragon Blade right now, trying to channel his fury to break what seems to be a little bit of a deadlock now, and he gets jumped on by Gamsu there. Nice work. Good use of the jump pack for the extra damage to get the finish on the Cyber Ninja. Raucus does have help nearby. Another pulse bomb whiff, this time from Striker.
This is huge for Boston, though. When Jake falls, they'd already used their res onto Muma, so you can't turn that into Blade plus Transcendence. What's that allowed to do? Neko will build up his Transcendence. He'll use it. You did lose Kellex, though. Dreamcaster falls a little bit further back to try and bring their Mercy back to the fight. Doesn't matter, though.
Timing on that's pretty good there. I like the follow for Raucus to keep the Transcendence over Jake because a Helix Rocket at close range would be pretty nasty for Jake to deal with, and Casper's already done that so far. So Gamsu finding Linkster here. So Jake on the payload being knocked away. Mooma's close by. Raucus is there. So they've got a DPS, a support, and a tank in the vicinity. Coolmat, though, probably won't be around in this fight for too much longer, but there it is. Individuals, Raucus and Jake. Step up! Raucus getting himself 3 kills in that fight, by the way. Casual, as you like.
Somehow Striker able to stay alive for all this time as well. Just kind of dance around on the payload. He'll have to back out, though. I mean, there's only so much one guy can do there. It's, Dreamcaster's pushed up a little bit there with Neko. Neko will fall, but Dreamcaster's switching over to Widowmaker here towards the end. Just going to try and bait some of these players to dive them real deep.
Discord Orb there, gets that one done himself. He's got a great off angle there. You can see the Kellex and Noda sort of being corralled out by Jake at that time. Easy for Raucus to chime on in. That's what he does. They don't have an Orisa here for Gamsu, and a Widowmaker set up behind it. So Boston going for kind of the setup they had on Temple of Anubis defense here, trying to make sure Casper has the space to work with, and Striker. Oh, Jake, how does your own medicine taste, my friend?
How much different is this, though, from when Boston used to go up against these dive comps? Because they would just switch to their own dive, right? And just kind of go against them. now, maybe throughout the stages, they found some stuff that works against them that they're going to try and do against some opponents. So a little bit of changes coming from Boston Uprising in stage 3.
Muma's gone deep. He tried to pave the way for a big self-destruct. They got Neko with that one. Beautiful. Gamsu had to run away, so he didn't have the protection of his barrier. Linksa took advantage of that, you can be sure. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect on Neko, but Nuk gets 3! That's a big turnaround, and Linksa realized that suddenly he's got a lacking teammates, but he's not done here. He'll get Striker on the way out, but it will be a retreat with the tail between the legs. And the Outlaws were the ones that actually committed Muma's Primal Rage to set up a big self-destruct. No, just responds to one of his own.
When Muma jumps back here, as I'm sure we'll see it from this POV.
Is this just straight up?
I don't think he has, maybe he doesn't know where the self-destruct's coming down from, or he doesn't have his barrier. His barrier is off a cooldown, so.
All credit to Note, but that's obviously not the most creative use of the self-destruct, but sometimes, again, the enemies just sort of forget themselves. Positioning, not there, Jake gets shut down! It's happened again! Striker gets in with the remote mine, the Dragon Blade is no more. 1,000 times folded steel, meet classic Australian explosives. I don't think we manufacture them, but if we do, they'd be like that. Nicely done here, and the Boston Uprising continue to hold up. 55 seconds for the Outlaws, and they've used a lot of those ultimates, Matt.
We can see this from Striker's POV. You can see Jake coming through the top. It's actually kind of hard because he's like almost hiding in the trees, right? Where you can't kind of see him falling down. So you do have Transcendence. The problem that it occurs here for the Outlaws is the ultimate on the other side is Riptire, right? That'll kill players through the Transcendence. So.
And it will burst damage.
And you can't wait because there's only 30 seconds left.
So they have to go. They have to knowingly and willingly, the Outlaws, push in to a fight that may well include a Riptire from Striker. There'll be it'll be a supercharge here from Gamsu. So Striker picks it off ankle and just channels it now. Good work by Coolmat. He chases it down. Micro rockets to get rid of the tire, and Striker was threatened very low on HP. Casper was positioned quite far forward, expecting the Riptide to force a disengage from the Outlaws and give him space, but he was actually a little bit closer than he otherwise thought he'd be. Kellex down, self-destruct from Coolmat lands right in the cul-de-sac to find the Mercy, but Bunny also goes the same direction. Striker gets in there with that remote mine, but so far so good for the Outlaws, Matt. They're going to have themselves one run at trying to finish the map. Overtime has begun.
Oh, it's such a sick play from Coolmat. He's able to go up in the top, kill that Riptire, then get the health pack, get back to the rest of his team, make a play with a self-destruct. Muma using full range, just bashing Kellex away, trying to take him out before he can get the Valkyrie. It'll be a Transcendence that keeps him alive from Neko on the point. That'll allow them to probably get their Valkyrie as well.
Ah, there it is!
Get off the cart.
He got off the cart. Happens. They moved off the cart. So that was really interesting. We actually saw Muma chasing down Kellex, right?
Yeah.
And Coolmat at that time was actually being pressured very heavily on the payload. So what that created was that all of a sudden Houston's tanks weren't in a position to actually threaten Dream Casper and Striker. We saw Dream Casper, even though the payload was so close to spawn, he just peeked out the door, got that crucial kill. I mean, he had 8 final blows for the round on that Widowmaker. Striker looking very good. The Outlaws would be a little bit frustrated with the outcome of that.
I did like what they tried to do at the beginning with the triple DPS. I think...
What were they trying to do? Explain this to me, because I didn't really see... I don't know if I saw it kind of coalesce in the way that maybe they intended.
I think what they were trying to have happen is have them dive up onto the high ground, right? Create that drop down from the side, and then just have your Tracer, your Mercy, and your 76 kind of like walk around the corner, then be able to put that consistent damage down. That allows like Muma to stay alive a little bit longer, jumping up top, coming back down low, whatnot. But we usually see it work when teams go all the way to that left side high ground. That's how you would play the 76 there in that position. I think it just makes Bonnie too easy of a target to dive at that point.
I kind of like, they put Jake on the Junkrat sort of up on that high ground, sort of on this ledge we're looking at right now, but on the attacking side. So Boston were in a position like, well, okay, we like to defensively dive or get aggressive on our defenses, but if we opt in to dive onto a Junkrat in close proximity, we're kind of playing into their hands a bit. So it's almost like Boston had to let the Outlaws kind of, assemble the pieces and the prerequisites for a winning team fight without sort of doing anything about it, because it's like, we can't dive the Junkrat, and he's already in position being protected. So it's a bit novel, it's new. I like Raucus on the 76, and ultimately, they almost got the map done.
I would also say Boston is playing a lot of different comps today that we haven't seen them play too much in the past.
Yep.
This is definitely one we have seen from them before. It'll be Dreamcaster on Genji, Striker on Tracer. And we know what tanks are going to be played here on offense. Jaco plays 76 on defense. No, Jake, very good 76 player. He always seems to stay alive for so long on the hero.
Keep an eye out for Neko here. He'll be the one to start the fights. Oh, that's a real speed boost. We'll see this in a second. Striker sort of comes around the corner. You see how no one's on that platform when Striker came down? Yeah, that's because the entire of the Outlaws got chased off by the dive core of the Boston Uprising. Neko just flicks the switch. And look how far back they are. Look how far back they push them. That's what Lucio can do for you now. Pressure down the enemy so much, force them away. And Boston are just going to sit here and almost get the whole point without any sort of contest. Can Linksa get there? No! He gets blown up anyway! What a great start for Boston.
You're going to see a bunch of players here drop for the Outlaws as well. As it looked like they were going to have Cool Matt maybe go and contest the point, but just they're a second too late. The point's taken by Boston. So he's saying they were struggling with their ult economy and whatnot on Hybrid. Definitely doesn't look like it here. I mean, they have been playing a very good series.
God bless. Look at this. The speed boost as well. We kind of saw the end part of it. You can just see what the dive. This is just so classic Boston dive. They just shoved 80% of Outlaws off the point. Easy.
Pulse bomb here for Striker.
My ultimate's ready.
Raucous will be a big target here. Get rid of the Zen, you lose some of that Discord damage.
Big hitbox on that Zen.
Takes away a lot of the benefits that the 76 could do. You see just Striker darts by, puts down some damage, and then just everybody coming through the front just sets this whole play up.
You see, there's nothing more that Boston like doing than walking up to a team and using their abilities on them. They were all sort of up in that little corner. Note's going to be more than happy to be bearing the brunt of the retaliation for the Atlas. He's playing deep, he just resuits, uses that self-destruct. Jake there, you could see he was up next to that sort of whiskey ad or whatever it is, the oil ad. He was the only one in that room, so it was very easy for Boston to sort of put him in a position where they were between Jake and the rest of his team, the reinforcements. So nice setup there. They're very good, Matt, at identifying these small positioning errors and sort of, using them to just get an easy man advantage.
Jake will use attack visor movement, already using Primal Rage, but players just dropping like flies here for Houston. There goes Raucous. Reflected bullets back in his face. And what Boston does really well, Mitch, and I think a lot of people who obviously play Overwatch, play shooting games at home, it's the most disorienting thing in a shooting game is getting shot from off screen, and you can do that in multiple ways, right? Just like verticality, different players playing at certain heights.
Yeah.
The perfect example is Striker darting through the front. Jake's just kind of looking directly in front of him. Then Dreamcaster coming from the tops. Now you're looking up. Now you have so many different angles to look at. You can't look at it all. Just so hard to deal with.
That's why you focus targets down. That's how it works. You tax the enemy's mental boundment so they can't deal with all the threats that are going in their direction. So Casper there, he's going to put a couple scratches on the paint for Cool Matt and have him removed in due time. Look at Boston. Look at, they don't really care about movement. They've sort of circumvented him or gone past him there and are just diving. And you can see that Bunny attempted to come out of spawn and do something, but he's already being pushed back in. This is close to flawless from the Boston Uprising. I don't think I've seen a better executed Numbani attack in a long time. Gamsu has a Primal Rage here. Oh, Linksa, this is dangerous! Oh, he tries to repel back, and he does. Nicely done. Had that off cooldown, always handy. Now Gamsu's just going to try and, again, make it hard for Linksa to get shots. This is super disconcerting as well, man, getting beefed around by a Winston when you're a winner.
So sick from Gamsu. He pushes Linksa all the way back to the rest of the team, able to take him out. Now Dreamcaster comes through with the blade. He'll get Cool Matt trying to chase down Bonnie. May not even need to get him here. The payload still moving on forward here for Boston. They're getting so close to completing this map.
Boomer has to stand on the payload. He can't help Bunny and Raucous right now. He needs to literally just stand here and stall things out with his shield. So when the Boston Uprising force the Outlaws out to the left or right-hand side, he can't assist them except throwing a Holt in or something like that.
You have Boston using Valkyrie here, keeping everybody topped up. You're also going to have the Transcendence coming on through when Neko gets back into the fight. Raucous will have a Transcendence very soon as well. Gonna need to get a big use of it here for Houston.
Okay, so we've got the winner, McCree and the Junkrat combo here for Linksa and Jake, but Casper doesn't care, he dashes through, it's a 2-for-1. Deadeye comes in, no, it's reflected! Casper gets himself a third, and Linksa has been sent back to spawn by his own ultimate. Muma won't last long now, he's just gonna get picked apart, and Raucous is a little bit busy trying to deal with Casper, who's looking for his fourth kill of the fight, but knows he doesn't even have to get the kill, just force him back. Combat desperately throws himself here at the payload, but again, who's he going to try and get damage on? The best he can do is force them away. Oh, Boston! That's naughty! Very impressive attack there. Hard to fault this. These guys are just so good at playing that aggressive, high octane, in your face, no respect Overwatch. And the Outlaws down 0-2.
And Gamsu showing us why in stage 1, we were talking about him as one of the best tanks in Overwatch League. Him and Note always on the same page. Note has a great game, 40 limbs, 16 final blows, only 4 deaths during that one.
Very impressive performance so far from Boston. The Outlaws can bring it back, but to do so, they'll have to do it on control. We'll see you after the halftime break, ladies and gentlemen. We are far from done.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Boston's trying to keep their 5-match winning streak going, and so far, they're looking pretty darn impressive. They're up 2-0 over the Outlaws at the break. Welcome back, everybody. It is halftime live from the Blizzard Arena. Puckett here at the desk. I got the boys. It's Reinforced. It's Sideshow. And Johnny, you were kind of off with your first prediction of the day, but now you got the upper hand over a little Sideshow here.
I'm making up for it. Yeah, we're edging closer to a series win for Boston Uprising.
A series win. So let's talk about how we got here. It all started on Anubis. And coming into this matchup, who did you think would have the edge on this map in particular?
Well, Boston is unbeaten on this map, so it would be hard to predict against them. And Dreamcasper started out with an insane performance. I think Houston Outlaws, though, why are you playing a Widowmaker into this? He's stood behind a shield. He's like completely set up, and Linkster didn't get a single kill. They were forced to go over to the Genji.
Well, there was a reason they swapped to the Genji, right? Linkster himself realized you can't play Widowmaker against our Arista Roadhog. And I just like how Boston Uprising, they set the tempo so fast. They set the pace so fast, straight out of the gates with Dreamcasper starting to pop up. And I mean, it didn't slow down.
And as you saw kind of on the attack, it was the Genji, it was the Tracer from Striker, but Dreamcasper going with the Genji for a little bit of this. It looked like Boston wasn't afraid to dive Houston Outlaws, despite Houston playing that defensive style and getting the win against London. What's different this time around when you're watching Boston?
So two things, and on the first map, it's slightly different. The first map, they spread out really well and attack. The second map, they invest a lot of people into the dive. So I've got an Insights powered by Intel to take you through the first example of this, where they spread out. And this is why Johnny calls them a slower team, and I like to call them a faster team. The confusion is because they like to spread out all over the place. So you'll see that the Genji of Dreamcasper has taken the route all the way around, and his idea is that he's going to flank right around here and aim to come up here if he has to dive. So he's taking a really long route around, and his healers are with him. He has got both of these guys, Kelex and Neko, supporting him, and you see that the other guys are spread up all around the map. Striker over here, Note and Dreamcasper ready to set up. So what is their game plan here? As we scroll it forwards, you can see that Dreamcasper's trying to get around, but they know the game is afoot. They know that they need to shut down Dreamcasper, because if they set up, it's bad news. So they get the pick, that's great, but they invest both of their supports here just to get Dreamcasper back into the fight. So keep your eyes on the top half of the screen. Dreamcasper has been resurrected, Kelex then dies, and they are still going to go for this. I'm going to pause again. They're still going to go for this with both of their supports
No heals
down.
needed.
No heals at all. So at this point, now you have to move super fast. So the slow part has already been done. They have set up, and now it's all about this fast dive. Gamsu in, Dreamcasper in, Note in. Sometimes they even work a 4-man with Striker, but not this time. He's going to harass Jake so that they can't peel. So as we come forward, insta-dive. Look at... Oh, well, I sped that up, but it was really fast in real time
really
as
fast,
well.
George.
Well, Linksa dies immediately, and they're able to carry this one through, even with the 2 picks that were gotten right at the beginning on their supports. They transition over again, and then bait Coolmat down to the low ground. Dreamcasper, like, tickles him, baits him down the low ground, and they're like, right, now that you're out of there, we can kill Jake. And they team up. Dreamcasper, you can see he's baiting, and then they instantly get onto Jake. So the fact that they're able to set up all of these plays, they have the slow setup and then the fast execution.
Yes, and I think it's noteworthy that it is an assault map, so the spawns favor the attacker.
Right.
So even if you don't win that fight, you get 2-3 picks. Next fight, just go in there, straight head, and you have a man advantage. So really impressive from Boston.
Is the most impressive part of this the coordination? Is it the communication? Why does this work for Boston today? Without healers, this is crazy to see a 6v4 and you come out on top of it.
Yeah, but it's kind of not even a 6v4. The healer's job is to get them into position. After that, they're not really that useful. Kelex can fly in, but what's the Zen going to do, really? Neko's just dead weight at that point. So the most impressive part to me is they have a game plan. They have a plan. They know exactly what Houston are going to play, and they set themselves up for the perfect timings and perfect execution. This is a sign of great coaching for me. This is a sign that they have done their prep work, and they know what they're doing against Houston Outlaws.
Remember at the start of the season when everyone's like, who's this Boston Uprising squad? I don't know any of these names. Well, it's working out for them. Johnny, let's talk game number 2. Numbani was up next, and Houston was on the attack first. Boston sets a much faster attacking time. As we watch some of the highlights back, walk me through this game. What were you seeing from the 2 squads?
It was much faster. I think it was more of the same. I'd like to say it was more dives from the Boston Uprising. And because the Houston... Numbani is not a very good Junkrat map. We saw some Junkrat play coming out from Jake. But overall, Numbani is not a good Junkrat map. And so it's hard for the Houston Outlaws to sort of play this slow style and really shut down Boston Uprising's fast play style, of course. So I think overall this map sort of favors the Boston Uprising because Houston Outlaws, they're not really allowed to play their game.
You know, the weirdest part as well is that Boston have statistically done worse on this map, but that's because they've faced harder opposition overall. And so what I loved about Boston on this map is that they were committing sometimes 5 people to taking down 1 target. They would go on Jake with all 5 of their players, Lucio getting involved, the Kelex on Mercy getting involved, and that opens up opportunities for people to have a counter-punch, but at the moment, Houston just aren't playing like that.
It's really fun to watch these teams and try and find out who are they targeting first. Is it the Diva? Is it the Winston, like we saw the Gladiators Fissure just getting picked apart? Today it's Jake. You have to hate being Jake if you're on the Houston Outlaws today. So far, it's all Boston, but this one could go the distance to a Game 5. Johnny, do you see it coming?
No, I don't see a Game 5 coming. I'm pretty confident in the Boston Uprising. And Josh, before the game, you had a nice comment about the Boston Uprising. Let's listen in to what you said before the game. Yeah? Love you, man.
Sideshow, where are you going today?
So I've heard this don't sleep on Boston since the very beginning.
Yeah, so to be nice, you know, for second half, I brought you a pillow, so you can actually go sleep on the Boston Uprising. And
Thank you.
I know it's a bit cold in the arena, so I got a nice blanket for you as well.
Great.
So you go ahead and sleep during the second half, and I will enjoy the Boston Uprising victory.
What a kind Swedish boy. Give it up for Johnny. Sideshow's going to take a nap with his bad predictions. Or is it good? We'll have to find out in the
Reverse
second
sweep.
half. For now, though, we want to give a big shout out to everyone who is watching on twitch.tv with the All Access Pass. And remember, at the end of the day, we got some special treats for you, including a big matchup. #1 seeded New York XL is taking on #2 in the London Spitfire. That's coming up after the second half of this one. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, everybody. The Boston Uprising are on a mission for revenge as they currently hold the 2-0 lead over the Houston Outlaws, and these guys continue to play out of their minds. Though, I gotta give kudos to the Houston Outlaws for trying something new and coming out with that 3-attack comp at New Bonnie. It's just cool to see them taking risks and trying new things. I also say that they're about 1 attack player short from what I'm used to seeing when I play comp matches in Overwatch. Anyways, for you guys at home watching on Twitch, remember, the Twitch Overwatch League All Access Pass is available for the entirety of Stage 3. So if you want a more in-depth viewing experience, if you want to see what the players' reactions are as they're playing the game, make sure you check that out. It's absolutely free. And anyways, guys, we got a baller second half coming up. So let's go ahead and get back into the action with our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Malik. And yeah, great way to set the stage for the second part of this series, all right? Houston have got to bring things back, and they've got to start doing it now, and it's got to be on Nepal. You know, generally speaking, Control, pretty good game type for the Uprising, but again, Nepal's a little bit different to the other ones. We've got Best Sanctum in there.
Nepal, there's a few, Junkrat stages.
Maybe a bit of Shrine.
Jay could play something like a Pharah, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
You know, 76 play. So we do have one sub. It'll be Boink, who comes in for Bonnie on Houston Outlaws. So you bring back Boink. Boink played a lot of control in Stage 1 and Stage 2. So not surprising here. You can play that Lucio at a high level, which you want Lucio with the speed to get to the point a little bit faster.
Did I just hear a boink in the background? There.
Oh,
yeah, see? Wow. Subtle. I like it.
We're just leveling up each week.
Production value. But Nepal is going to be our next map. So again, Village here. So Village, Sanctum, trying all really different setups, right? And I feel like some of these do lend to teams that like want to play around that Orisa, around the Junkrat a bit more. You can even bring the Widow, the Pharah, the 76, the Tracer, whatever you like. The question is, I mean, we've even seen there's plenty of Zarya on maps like this as well. No sub for Kalios or someone like that in here, so it's not necessarily going to be something that, you know, we see swap to. But I really love this map for how different each stage is. There's definitely an element of randomness though in terms of what you get on round 3 or round 2. But hey, that's the game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different things you can play here. Was it the Gladiators yesterday? They ran like a triple tank with Reaper and did some nice stuff there. So
we see that on Village as well.
I just love how you know, some of these maps come and go, obviously, between the stages, and like you know, the patch changes come through, and they change, like the strategies change so much that. Right, when the Reaper changes and Mei changes go, you know, obviously into the live game, and then eventually make their way into Overwatch League. I'm sure that'll change some things up as well. So.
Yeah. The viability of both of those heroes is going to drastically increase. And the thing is that players are pro players because they're very good at finding the best, I guess, the best approach possible in game and making it broken as quickly as they can. So that's why sometimes we don't see a huge amount of variety, Matt, because they go for what is best. But this is interesting. We don't always see a ton of Pharah on Shrine. It's a little uncommon.
And to remind you guys now, with these Sombra hack changes, if Dreamcasper were to get hacked, he basically just like falls out of the sky. So
wall climb, can't use your spacebar boost, can't do any of that.
So if Jake can kind of like get underneath him and get that hack off real quick, it could be deadly for Dreamcasper as well as Neko, right? Because Percy's kind of tied in a way to the far.
Yeah. So for Dreamcasper, this is less of a dangerous map than perhaps Village is. I mean, if he gets hacked by Jake, it's going to be a bad time. If you can break line of sight or force Jake to look away or run, he's going to be okay. This is the danger zone. He backs himself out there with a concussive blast just to keep himself mobile. And honestly, Notes and Striker are doing a heck of a lot of the work right now. Casper's just sort of there, just sort of floating through with about 35% of his team's damage already.
I was going to say he is putting down a ton of damage though for this team. Striker kind of push on forward.
Okay. Here's the McCree.
Yeah, Linkser brings out McCree. Jake will play Tracer here. When you sub out the Sombra, you also move away from Moira as well. Sombra can play a little bit more on her own, right? Where you can kind of go back to your health pack over and over again. The Moira just provides so much healing to the tanks there.
Striker wants to recall. He timed that quite well. He wanted to make sure he could go back to the high ground and just sort of rewind the dive. There's the stick. Cool Matt was the one receiving most of that damage there. He didn't go down though, and the point is being contested right now. Jake is there, but Links are being down to Dreamcasper. It's never a great sign when your McCree loses out to a Pharah. Does happen though. Now Boss is backing up. Striker's gone for a wide flank, so what Note's trying to do is just to hang on now. You see Striker on the left-hand side, so they're really trying to get him in. And Casper coming forward, sound barrier, and the barrage. Raucus, well, there's not much left of him than a scorch mark after that one.
You can see what Houston was trying to do there. I actually thought it was a really nice play by Muma at the beginning when Linkser gets dove. Muma like counter dives back and he lands right on Gamsu, pushes him out of his bubble, and they're able to take him out. And there towards the end, Houston was trying to disengage there, but Dreamcasper uses that rocket barrage. They needed to get good use out of that sound barrier, right? You needed to win that fight. They used the rocket barrage there as well. The sound barrier now for Houston. It'll be Valkyrie for Boston, keeping everybody alive as Houston doesn't really push in after that sound barrier.
Yeah, see, Linkser does see Gamsu go back over his head as he gets knocked off there. He sees Gamsu go over his head and dive on his backline. Linkser decides not to respond, and Raucus gets smashed there by the diver, Striker, and Gamsu together. Houston looking a little bit segmented. Linkser had a very different idea of who he wanted to focus down in that fight, while his support line just kind of got mashed.
Boston has looked very good today. Coordinated in the same spot all of the time, making the right plays. It'd be very difficult, I think, for any team to come in and beat Boston with the way they're playing today. It'll be a Deadeye from Linkser. That's why you see everybody hiding here. I believe he actually gets Note defect, which he does.
So that's a huge boost. Yeah, it's easy to pick off Note now. Striker probably has to be a little bit selective about how he enters into this fight. But Dreamcasper again, who's responding to him? Where's Linkser? That's the question. Linksa probably needs to be the one dealing with this, but again, he's got other things to focus on right now. The one saving grace might be the Dreamcast was not super aware where Linksa is. Oh, he gets commed to him, and Gamsu picks him off.
Yeah, and Raucus doesn't use the Transcendence, so he's getting just chunked down by Dreamcaster. Wants to get a really
That's
good
it, they
use
got off
out
the
of it.
point.
They have to get off the point there. It'll go over to Boston, but Houston never gets a use. They're out of their Transcendence. Dreamcaster's actually just shooting rockets down onto Raucus.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks he's going to get some kind of peel from Cool Matt, eating it up with the defense matrix, just trying to get the perfect timing to use that Transcendence, but you never actually get it off.
It's so interesting what, you know, when we see Farah especially thrown into a map that she's maybe not expected to be on. This is not super common for her. Because Linksa comes out, and we saw that one occasion, right, where we saw Linksa clearly could see that Gamsu was diving over his head as the Winston onto his backline,
Yeah.
and Linksa doesn't flinch. Like, he keeps going forward because he knows, I need to find Casper. In doing so, it means, you know, Linksa can't help peel for his backline, and then Raucus dies immediately in that fight because Striker gets in there. So Houston, yeah, maybe, again, struggling to sort of juggle all their priorities here, but now we're going to go for a little bit more of a tankier approach. But Boston have the meat tenderizer. It's Roadhog for Dream Casper.
You look at the comps for both teams here. I think Houston may be able to take advantage of this. You have Zarya against a Roadhog and a Junkrat. You can probably get, the Lynx are pretty charged up on that Zarya. And then obviously Reaper great against these big tanks.
Okay, that's the hook on Muma, gets around the shield, but respects the barrier. Not the hand of Linksa though. Into with the right click. Muma doing work there in his close quarters area, but Gamsu there and Kelex. Beautiful boop off. Cool Matt. Straight into the abyss. And the Boston Uprising start this stage again at a lead.
And I would love to see how Gamsu was able to take out Raucus there. It was a flame strike that must have just went through Muma's shield, obviously, connected with the Moira, because once that
taking him to Sizzler.
Well, once Moira falls, I mean, that's really where all the source of healing is coming from. Obviously, Lucio provides some in the AoE, but in this comp, it's really the Lucio speed boost to get these, you know, big, slower tank heroes closer to the opponent. So you lose all that healing with Moira. It's going to be a coalescence comes through for Boston Uprising, and they're just rolling through Houston.
Striker is kind of like playing pin the tail on the donkey, really. He's removing players that he can't even see, as the rest of the Uprising see a great opportunity to dive on a slightly segmented Outlaws roster. But Neko is felled by a Fire Strike, and he's quite far forward there.
Very far, yeah.
He might have faded to try and get around and get a finish. Oh, that really look at the health bars on the Outlaws right now. That's super nasty. Striker has the Riptide. He didn't even use it in the last fight. There's an Earth Shatter here. You know Gamsu wants to drop down and get some this is Sparta action going on. But the Riptide for now should suffice, at least to zone away and remove Jake.
Get one kill off of it. I think Gamsu was trying to play for that Earth Shatter there. I saw a few players coming on in behind that coalescence, but Numa keeping that shield up. Now going to drop it, blocked there by Gamsu. Nice play on that Reinhardt.
Yeah, 4D underwater chest, my man. Gets knocked away. Very low on HP. Yeah, this is nasty. He'll die to that Vita Gorb. Raucus sends that one towards him. So Gamsu doesn't really get to play on the part of the map he wants to, but the Outlaws don't have the numbers to contest this, really, with any sort of reliability. Striker's still there. Kelex has a sound barrier if they really need to go for it. Give him a spray down. Heal him back up, and now the fight on the point. So both teams have sound barriers now being used. Neko in a position to actually have a coalescence if this fight goes well for him. Notice Coolmat eats the biotic orb as Neko throws it in, so a lot of his damage potential as Moira is reduced, but he can get point. Now, this is going to be easy. The Graviton Surge. Riptide thrown in there. Gamsu gets the pin on Coolmat's mech. Self-destruct for no, but that's mostly just to get the mech back. Big Earth Shatter from Muma. 3 players taken down, but there was 0 follow-up. As Doa likes to say in ranked, where's my follow-up? There it is! The Boston Uprising. How can you fault this team? You know, we got over the whole Boston Uprising arguably very good thing in stage 1, right? We got past that pretty quickly. Yeah. These guys, I mean, Houston beat London. Now Boston Uprising is showing up. It's 3-0. Boston already win the series, Matt. This is some very, very clean.
It's been dominant.
Overwatch.
Been dominant from the Boston Uprising. Dreamcaster finishes that one on Roadhog. 71% hook accuracy, absolutely nuts.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. Roadhog in there, the Junkrat from Striker was beautiful. We still got another map to go here, and Boston's prowess may well be showcased further. We'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
In the last week of Stage 2, it was all tied up at one map apiece between Houston and Seoul going into King's Row. After each team finished with 3 points, the Dynasty were close to forcing a tie by holding the Outlaws on the first point.
Take out Muma and boink, maybe Soul's able to hold on after that.
With time running out, Muma started the Outlaws' final push with a bang.
Big shot at Outlaws, and that's going to be a 2-man shatter there for Muma.
The Earth Shatter helped his teammates take out Wikid and then eliminate Zumba.
Muma pushing ahead now.
Next, Muma advanced to the point and eliminated Cookie's Reinhardt, Munchkin's Diva, and then used Fire Strike to eliminate an oncoming soldier, which sealed the deal for Houston.
And that'll be it! The Houston Outlaws take map 3 in the series!
The Outlaws took that momentum to the 4th map and defeated Seoul in an epic brawl. That right there was the turning point where Muma and the Houston Outlaws turned a sour moment into something sweet. Presented by Sour Patch Kids Candy.
Sweet indeed, but it's safe to say, Matt, right now, for Outlaws fans, things are looking a little bit, well, sour. To be fair, they should already have had, you know, a map at least in this one. We thought Numbani would be where they'd come back into it. Again, they got crushed on that particular map. The Uprising are just so frightening today.
I think you're just seeing a Boston team that is well prepared for this match. They realized what happened in stage 2 where they got off to a poor start.
And that
keeps
pretty
them
much
out
ruined
of
their playoff chances.
It does. I mean, they finished stage 2 on a hot streak, right? You know, they go through their last like 4 or 5 games with some really close games, but man, do see Bonnie will come in here for Boink as we go into our final map.
Junkertown, definitely, historically speaking, a much better story for the Houston Outlaws. A map in which they get to bring a lot of their best elements to bear, right? The Junkrat for Jake, the Widowmaker for Linksa. You know, that's all in the mix. So they can bring Muma's Orisa as well. It's an option. We've seen him be just as good at that as he is on that Winston quite often. A lot of good stuff here, and definitely should be giving Outlaws fans some hope. At the end of the day, you've got a team who just went and beat London. And now, getting that map is still going to be very, very important in this series. Don't want to drop it 4-0 after how hard they fought earlier on in the week.
And it's a hard week next week for the Houston Outlaws. They play NYXL in the Philadelphia Fusion. So I guess a saving grace for Houston is if you finish this week 1-1, you move on next week. You know, you can get some more prep time in, some more scrim time, and you can put up a good fight against either of those teams. Boston also plays NYXL next week.
Yeah, I mean, so both these two teams have to go up against New York. I mean, both of these teams actually have a really rough first couple of weeks of stage 3. I mean, they're going up against some of the top teams there. And obviously, as we go through week 3, 4, and 5, things might be a little bit different. So let's have a look at this. We're going to have the Boston Uprising starting on defense here, and they're already rolling out. And honestly, that's pretty accurate representation of the Outback.
Is
Less rocky. I don't know if we have that many like mesas and stuff like that. We definitely don't have factories out there. No one really lives there, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good lesson. We're all learning about the
Except for our indigenous communities, I don't think really there's a whole lot going on out there. Very red though. If you look at a satellite image of Australia, people don't realize how much desert's actually there. It's like a good 70% is just red earth.
Do we see them bust out the pirate ship here? Maybe we get Raucus play. But maybe bring Bonnie back in to play Mercy, and then you want
Hanzo Widow combo.
Jake can play some Hanzo. I mean, this is what we see a lot of teams play. Double Sniper with that Bastion. It was like a stage 1 early comp. Probably looks like you're going to see it return here for the Outlaws.
Sonic Arrow thrown in here by Jake. Yeah. So all right, so the Bastion here is often can be your greatest strength or your biggest weakness here. Depends how much Outlaws want to try and dedicate to keeping Raucus alive. At what point is it no longer worth it sort of throwing resources in? But, you know, we'd love to see the Hanzo here map because of, again, its burst, its one-shot kill potential. I mean, even Gamsu, if he gets hit by a full scatter arrow, he's going to be going the way of the weary Neko on the Roadhog. Not the first time we've seen this from him. Jake's got great shield busting potential as well here.
Dreamcaster is able to take out Raucus, though, as Raucus was getting weak. He was forced to back up, and he just gets a little bit behind that shield too far, where Dreamcaster is able to get some sight lines. But you did mention a lot of great one-shot potential. I know, obviously not a one-shot from Bastion, but you poke out a little bit too long, it feels like it's a one-shot.
Well, Jake just did that to Neko there. Neko was actually playing from the side. He actually hooks Raucus in the backline now, and everyone has to sort of about face and deal with it. But again, a big Hanzo scatter arrow into a big body, even if it doesn't kill them, it's going to force them to disengage or to back up. And look how much space Linkser has. It's ridiculous. He really won't be challenged here, especially because Boston aren't actually running a Tracer. It's only going to be Dreamcasper that can kind of deal with him right now. And in the meantime, the payload just keeps rolling forward.
And you get a ton of information with this comp as well. Infra Sight from Linkser, the Widowmaker ultimate. You can see everybody through walls. Jake also with Sonic Arrow on Hanzo. You can just really put together, oh, this is pretty cool. They actually they use a halt, and then they use the Dragon Strike to take out Dreamcaster up on that high ground.
Not a thing you can do about it, and that's big. There was no chance for Boston to get an opening pick. Oh, okay. I like that too. Pull Gamsu off the stairs.
It was really well timed, though. Like, the Dragon Strike has to come out before the halt, and then Muma just times that halt.
And then Casper dies immediately after he gets resurrected anyway. Frustrating for him. You don't need healing, Jake.
Oh, he does. Anything below full HPs, I need healing.
Got all the hallmarks of a Genji player he does. So Jake does get dumped on with a Riptire there. Banning to bring him back to life. The payload's still moving, by the way, so Boston are yet to fully commit to this one, and Raucus sets up a little further away than is going to be optimal for a Bastion here. Doesn't have the best sideline, but Gamsu kicks out a little bit too far.
He hasn't really even gotten set up on the payload too often. We usually say it's kind of a struggle when Bastion doesn't get set up on the card and it's difficult to get him back. It seems like he's taken a lot of different angles with the Bastion.
He's not being pocketed right now. Yeah. Like, Banning has other things to take care of at this time. So all we can really do is sort of set up, then move, set up, then move. And as soon as you start to receive a large amount of scrutiny, Neko emoting for whatever reason.
And the Outlaws are in a tough position here because you're getting so close to a lot of these ultimates. It's like, do you switch off of potentially Linkser, Muma, Raucus, and Jake before using any of these?
I just saw some really nice tech there from Muma. I don't know if we'll get to sort of look at it properly. I'll explain it later, but I mean, that's the question, Matt, isn't it? Raucus now in tank configuration, and the kind of underwhelming performance there is often the case. Like, we don't see huge displays from Bastions with ults now. Teams know how to play around it. We saw just earlier on here that the Boston Uprising tried to go for a Halt and Hook combo, but Muma ended up using his Fortify. So he flies up further, and you can't predict the hook on him.
I love it. Neko going with the dance emote right after he gets a kill, almost just gets blasted in the face with a bunch of rockets there.
He knows he's just going to take a breather. I don't think there's enough time in the emote for him to get burst down by these.
It's difficult to burst the Roadhog down regardless whether he's emoting or not. It doesn't quite matter, as the changes do come through here for Houston, like I mentioned. You're going to have Linkser play Genji, Jake will play Junkrat, and then Raucus will go over to Zenyatta.
Where does Striker go with this one? I mean, this little window here allows Striker to put a Riptire in the back pocket of the Outlaws. And, yeah, drops in on Jake. I think he's trying to get in his head at this point. There are definitely other targets, but he seems to be prioritizing getting rid of the enemy Junkrat or the enemy Jake. Most times the latter. Banny there just floats a little bit too close to the middle of the crosshair for Casper. It's a very small correction he needs to make to remove the Mercy.
What do you do here? I think Muma has to probably go back to...
Yes, Dreamcast, we give me more.
I was going to say, Muma definitely has to probably go back and switch to Winston, right? Because you're not going to make any ground.
Okay, this is bad. I mean, and for the Outlaws, it's been such a tough series. It's been such a grind, and some of these maps have kind of been one-sided for him. So to go into this now and, you know, have Dream Casper, cheeky Jonathan just peeking out of the window, taking shot after shot at you and killing you in your spawn is just not going to really help that mental state.
And you don't know how long the Outlaws have had a script coming into this stage, right? You know, they were in Houston doing the tour, going to all the signings, meeting all the fans.
They had a really busy off stage.
Yeah, and then coming right back. And we know how Boston has been in between some of their previous stages where they've been like one of the only teams that stayed and just kind of grinded on through and worked at it.
Well,
so,
yes, actually stage 2 though, they were very slow on the uptake though. They didn't obviously practice in the best way possible. They didn't sort of get to a point where they were going to be able to dominate as they came out of the gates.
Well, they also didn't have Gamsu for the beginning there, right? Kalios is playing main tank at the beginning of stage 2.
Very true. Okay, attempted resurrect here for Kellex, but again, all with Discord and Links are there. Gonna farm him up quite nicely. Gamsu walks into a bear trap. He's taken down. But again, still a chance for the Boston Uprising to solidify. They've only got 2 players, so we'll probably see Casper take a less aggressive position. Neko going down there to Jake's total mayhem. I believe he got caught in a trap, and so was forced to eat the martyrdom, as we've called it in previous games.
And this will probably be the best chance for the Houston Outlaws. Riptire comes through from Striker, they get rid of it. So they have Transcendence in Riptire here for the Outlaws. Kellex, the only support for Boston, not even close to Valkyrie.
Yeah, so healing's going to be there, but Dream Casper doesn't seem to need it right now. Death from afar. And Jake, that's a huge part of that. Houston Outlaws' damage and the Riptire now being removed.
Striker actually jumps down and puts enough damage on Raucus to force the Transcendence. Now you don't have it potentially for the next fight after this to take this point if you're Houston.
Spanny, ballsy play to try and Guardian Angel forward straight towards Dream Casper like that. Obviously he's being buffeted around a little bit. That was Muma's attempt to try and displace the Widowmaker with the use of that primal range. But now the whole hole. Cool, mate, you make quite a nice wall ornament right now, mate. Yeah, Neko, you're cheeky. You know, Neko's quiet, but he loves a bit of tactical crouch. And the Houston Outlaws get held here without even getting to the second checkpoint. This is uncommon, and you can see that frustration on the faces of Jake and Co. The Outlaws definitely hoping for much more in this series. This is a very short-lived push on attack.
I tell you, as a former player, like coach, manager, like it is tougher to sit on stage and deal with a series like this than to lose in like a close game 5. Like it's just because it feels like it's going on forever and nothing's going your way. It's so much tougher to lose like 4-0 than to lose like in a 3-2 scenario. It sounds kind of weird, right? Like crushing defeat 3-2 so hard, but yeah, it's sitting on. It just feels like it goes for an eternity.
I know I've spoken to players as well. We've sort of discussed like having this 4th map played out. Obviously, because we play for 4 maps, not a best of 5 sort of series. So after 3, you still play that extra one. And there's such a big difference between the opinions of teams when they're winning and when they're losing. When they're winning, it's like, yes, we get another chance to play like another map. Like we're loving it out here. It's so great. Losing teams are like, I
get me
not
out of here.
Want to play this 4th map. And then, ironically enough, or perhaps not ironically, depending on your perspective, that same team who says they don't want to play the 4th map when they're winning, they do want to play it. So it's just something you've got to go with. I mean, it works for you when you're winning, and otherwise it doesn't when you're getting hammered. So here you go, Dream Casper, over 30% critical hit accuracy. That's double the league average. That means that when he's hitting shots, 30% of them are headshots.
Some solid targets.
Which means instant kills on most of the enemies.
Orisa, Diva. You look at Bastion as well.
Yeah, true.
Some solid.
Oh, Bastion's headshot is only in the back of his head.
When he's
set up.
But how often did we see Raucus actually set up?
Not a whole lot, I guess, to be fair. Anyway, let's kick things off, Matt. Let's see, how well the Houston Outlaws can hold up in the heat. Link's opts not to go for a shot. I think he sees that initial Gamsu barrier and doesn't want to risk getting hooked in by Neko from that spot. You see, Casper's watching it, so the odds were stacked against Linkser in that setup. They knew he'd be trying to get an early pick.
Triple tank for both teams. Junkrat Widow, round that out with DPS. Solo healing on the Mercy, so having your Mercy obviously be huge. A nice hold on top. There's Raucus with the side with his own hook.
Yep, sometimes it's just hooks galore. Muma now, that shield getting cracked pretty quickly. Neko just around the corner. Kumat didn't have a chance to respond to that. Had no idea Neko was going to be waiting down. Raucus looking worse for wear as well. Neko wants to chase. Again, no respect. Hook in. Notice that he doesn't go for the melee. He goes for 2 left-click shots. Roadhog plays don't automatically do a melee combo if your target is healthier than 200. And that works out, though. Jake responding, though. Dealt with Dreamcasper with a mine there. Outlaws starting to hold up a bit better, and Strikers in a bit of a compromising spot here.
Mercy players have such a difficult, go here in these solo healing compositions. As looks like Kelix does drop. Bonnie uses Valkyrie, but it's like you want to provide the damage boost to your Widowmaker. You also have to worry about keeping everybody else topped up. Oh, and keeping yourself alive as you're one of the primary targets for the other team. Bonnie doing a nice job of all of that right now, using Valkyrie. Gamsu will use Supercharger here. Interesting, doesn't have a shield up. Now Kelix comes through with Valkyrie there, coming off respawn, but do have Gamsu fall.
That Supercharger is really big for someone like Dreamcasper there to get the extra damage across the line, but he wasn't able to benefit from it. Muma's shield placement was good. Oh, Linksa! Oh, Linksa. That happens, man. Dreamcasper's just having that kind of game. He can see everything right now. Striker finds Jake. Jake trying to go for a bit of a wild flank with the Riptide, cut him off with the pass. That infra sight. Obviously, just having expired now for Casper, so he needs to look properly to find these targets. And Houston Outlaws used a lot of their ultimates here just to try and hold up. So obviously Jake, Muma, Raucus, Linksa. Boston have a chance to try and pressure now the advantage. They've got a whole hog for Neko, Matt.
You could kind of, in an odd way, combine whole hog with like a self-destruct here, right? Like, because if Neko comes around the alleyway that we just saw him poking out of, you throw the self-destruct up, that's probably where everybody's going to go to on Houston, or they can go out like that field in the back left, but that's going to be easy targets for Dreamcasper.
Right.
Or Neko can kind of just keep pushing them back over towards that Diva.
Well, it's the same reason we sometimes see the Prama Rage in the self-destruct. Let's see what they get for this. He goes over the back of the shield, but Muma and Co already get behind. So it looks like a combi wagon. Nice nod to Australian road tripping culture, I suppose. Oh, Casper. No one here to sort of capitalize on that, though, at all. So Casper gets another shot at it, but Lynx, you can see him coming a mile off. Linkson really starting to fire up now. Gamsu's been taken down. Rezzed up. We can see the Outlaws are pushing back a little bit, and this is where they might win the map, Matt. 1 minute remaining. Boston making very little progress here.
And I wonder if we see Boston go back to the spawn and switch, because obviously not working out thus far. Neko will switch off of Roadhog, will go to Zenyatta. So even though he had that whole hog going to give it up, Striker, that is very ballsy. So Linkster uses infra sight. He knows exactly where he's coming from. It was right over the top there on Junkrat.
Yeah, sometimes death comes on a peg leg, Matt. Raucus has a whole hog here, so we can actually drop in behind and push the uprising into the rest of the waiting Outlaws. No, he goes for the hook instead. Gamsu's down. Jake has been removed and need to all look at Striker flanking. Look at him. Banny has noticed him now as well, so jumping back to Muma. Muma puts a supercharger down. It's going to make it much easier to chunk through the Junkrat. And yeah, Striker's down as a result. Coolman just going to take 5 on that left-hand side. Let Banny heal him up. And the Boston Uprising are kind of running out of options here. They're waiting until the 11th hour before they make a dive towards the payload, Matt. And this may be where this one ends. Going to be Note taken down. Riptire and Coolmat got him desuited. Gamsu's trying to come forward towards the payload, but he's being held up. Coolmat's getting in his way. Body block wasn't bad. The hold also to pull Gamsu out of position. Striker, Riptire in. Muma's low, but still alive. Uses the Fortify as well, just to keep himself a little bit more durable. Gamsu fortifies himself, and Raucus actually can't connect the hook, but Dreamcast was now flanking. Right, Striker's there as well. Look at him. Jake doesn't know what hit him. Came in there with the concussive mine. Muma's the last man on the payload right now. Boston Uprising, can they do it? Raucus is there. It's just him, though. 1v3, and he can't get it done. And a Boston Uprising at the death knell get themselves and keep this match going.
Striker on the flank, man. He comes on the flank with the Junkrat. He's able to take out 2 players. That'll keep that payload moving. Jake will play Junkrat here. He's still on Junkrat. It's Rock is still on Roadhog. So you're still going to have the same composition here. For Houston, it was actually Boston who changed up for a second. Striker went over to Tracer, probably just to get back over towards that payload. Now he'll play Junkrat yet again.
Sometimes in sort of third or free cam mode, you can't see how sick some of that Widowmaker shots are, so it's nice to get a replay of that first-person view. Note there, just going to spend some time trapped up. He's going to throw his mech now over towards the Outlaws. Now, how is he aiming this one? He gets it in the back. Muma couldn't get away. Very cheeky. He will get resurrected. Striker playing in a bit of an awkward spot. Yeah, a lot of people getting halted into this one, and Jake will have a big Riptire. Yep, Neko Striker down. The Outlaws now starting to push back again.
They did end up using Riptire, and they used self-destruct. So the Outlaws did end up using 2 ultimates there as Boston will make changes. Striker now will play Tracer, like I was saying before. Gamsu play Winston. So you're going to have a full-on dive here. Kellex will even change off of Mercy. Will go to Lucio. So this, you want a speed boost past the Orisa shield, put a lot of pressure on Linkser. You're also going to be able to farm a decent amount of ult charge with Genji and Tracer going up against this tank-heavy lineup.
Striker preempting the hook there from Raucus and is able to avoid it. Gamsu goes down really early, so this dive doesn't ever really get started before the initiation. It's taken down. Now it's going to be Raucus here. An attempt just to stop Dreamcast, but he actually gets a lot of that shot reflected back into him. Up close. Hooks in towards Kelexo, cuts him down quite low. Neko found Linkser though, so Zenyatta getting rid of Widowmaker on the outside is pretty good. It's about a 4v3 in favor of the Boston Uprising here, and the payload's still trying to move forward.
Look how fast though Dreamcaster's built up towards this Dragon Blade. 92% already, 51-second ult time here. Charge it on up, so gets it in less than a minute. Jake with the Riptire. 28 seconds ago, he gets 2. You're going to be able to get another fight here, though, if you're Boston.
2 kills there. Boston still have 4 players on the payload here, moving forward. Movement's actually down, and Strikers moving wide on a flank here. The Outlaws actually don't have any key ultimates to really stop this one with, and they switch over to the Winston, but Coolback's in there. Gets rid of no. Punished with it, though, by a D-suit. And now the Dragon Blade here for Dreamcast, but Coolman is down. They're looking for Raucus, who gets Pulse Bonder once again. The Boston Uprising. Oh, they're going to get there. It looks like it. Look, they're going to lose the match, or the map in that first stage, but Matt, they bring it back. And of course, we've maybe forgotten that the Outlaws didn't make it very far through Junkertown at all because of how stellar the defense looked. But eventually the Uprising get it done. That's a grueling 4-0 for Houston.
Yeah, Dreamcasper collects 3 kills with that Dragon Blade in the final fight. Made a really nice play. Just got 1 swipe into Jake and then didn't want to waste the rest of that blade, potentially getting blown up by the Junkrat. Goes back, takes out the other 2 tanks. Striker goes around the outside, finishes off Jake.
Right, classic salute from Dreamcasper. Feeling pretty good about himself in that particular series. 21 final blows for 31 eliminations there. Huge contribution. Striker as well. I mean, we knew he was a very competent Tracer from the outset. Neko as well. Couple of kills on Linkser on that Widowmaker to really shut things down. But disappointing result for Houston, but for Boston, this is much better. This is a much better way to start a stage. This is how you keep your playoff hopes intact pretty much early on. And it's great to see that the dive is so good. The Numbani was incredible, Matt. Lucio, obviously, Kellex really knows how to rock that one out. Thanks for tuning into this game, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to head to the desk before the day continues.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Zoe, and I'm joined by Dream Casper from the Boston Uprising. A convincing 4-0 is the result of the match we just watched. Now, before you walked onto the stage, you told me that, yeah, we kind of figured out a way to play dive, which perfectly counters the anti-dive from Houston Outlaws. Now that the match is over, would you be so kind and elaborate on that?
Well, we know counter dive is strong versus dive, but like, ever since coming into the match, we practiced really hard against counter dive, and we figured out how to play against it while playing dive. So we just used our flanks really well and used the map widely and just attack them from every angle where they couldn't, you know, secure all.
All right. If we're looking at Junkertown, a map that your team isn't quite as fond of as the Houston Outlaws, what gave you the edge there?
I think the insane clutch at the end I did just made it that we can cap, and then second point, we just like knew we can go dive because we knew they had to play super close and they couldn't fall back anymore. So it was really good for a second point for us.
All right. Now, 4-0 is at the end of this week. Next week, you will be facing off against the NYXL. Last time you played against them, they 4-0'd you. But it's a different stage. How do you think you guys are going to match up this time around?
I feel like we can at least make it a tough match for them, so I think it could be really close, and we might be able to take a win.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Dream Casper and Outpocket. Please take it away and let us know what you thought of the game we just watched.
Thank you so much, Zoe. That is 6 in a row for Boston. Give it up for Dream Casper and the boys. Big win tonight. I know there's a lot of Outlaws fans out there, but Boston put on a show for us. And I have to start here with the question. We highlighted Dream Casper coming in. Where do you guys currently rank this man amongst the league's best DPS players?
I mean, he shut down Linkser on the Widowmaker, right? And I consider Linkser one of the best Widowmakers in the league. So
Statistically, the best counter sniper in the league.
Top 3 Widowmaker in the league. His Pharah, arguably the best over Flera.
Yeah, it could be made, yeah.
Could be a top 3 DPS player we have on our hands here.
And speaking of that Pharah, we saw it in game number 3. As we take a look back at Nepal, you'll see Dream Casper is running the Pharah.
Yeah.
Jake is on the Sombra. Some compositions I didn't expect for Control.
I think this was a counter, actually, because we saw Houston play Nepal the other day, of course. So I think that Dream Casper was prepared for this. He brought out the Pharah. Who's going to kill the Pharah? Linkser had to swap to a McCree, but with the momentum Boston Uprising had, it's hard to shut them down. And then the tanks coming out. Houston Outlaws, they were just one step behind constantly.
Yes, and Boston Uprising were focusing Raucus quite intensively, taking him out of the fight, and then in this slow composition, if you remove the healing, they have to play more aggressive because they've got a smaller time window. Eventually, they're going to run out of health. So if the Moira's out of the picture, you have to play faster, and that pushes Houston Outlaws out of their comfort zone. So overall, I got to agree with what Dreamcast was saying. They seem to have figured it out. They seem to have figured out a great way of playing their style that goes against the Houston Outlaws. You got to give them credit for that.
And this is scary, right? Because where do we rank Boston as a team now? They have a legit chance because they beat Philly to actually reach the stage playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Seoul is not looking that hot anymore. Valiant is looking strong, but really how strong? So the Boston Uprising, this could be their stage.
I like it. All right, so Sideshow, you mentioned you were really impressed with Boston's dive in the first half. Second half, we got a chance to listen in with the team. What did you hear from this squad?
So I want to stress that they're a very methodical team. They know what they're doing at all times, and they have a structured game plan. So you can hear when you listen to their comms that they have a plan when they're going up against compositions and a plan of rotations and stuff like this. I was really interested to be able to spectate. At the beginning of Nepal, they had a really nice rotation around, which we can listen to.
Sombra bottom left. I shoot Tracer. Bottom left Mega Hack. I shoot Moral.
Okay, I'm main trigger.
Moira's left.
Tracer.
Any left.
Bottom left. The hack bottom left.
Yeah, bottom left.
I'm rotating.
They're staying left room.
Okay, I'm rotating outside the point.
I'm gonna recall.
I think we can stay on point now.
They come close. I wanna dive more.
Okay.
Sombra right side, watch out.
Sombra's point right side. Point. You can lift for dive more.
I can dive more. Oh, Sombra hacking me.
So what we could hear there is that they realized that the Sombra was coming on the bottom left-hand side, and they decide to rotate around so they're away from the health pack that's been hacked, and they decide to target the Moira, because then if you take her out, this slower composition can't play as well. And afterwards, they perform a really nice collapse dive onto Raucus, take him out of the picture, and end up winning that first fight and snowballing it forwards. So I like this, that not only do they have the read, like you were saying, but they know exactly what to do when some push happens from
very prepared and very structured, and I actually have a telestration as well to even describe it even more. So if we go into this clip, we can see that actually how they set up the fight. We're going to see that first off, Neko is going to get picked off. So it's a 5 versus 6. They have no healing. And immediately as we play this one out, they'll start backing up. We don't have the healing to actually take this fight. But methodically, they set Striker up on the Junkrat to actually use his Riptire for this fight. So even though they're playing triple tank, they don't take the fight. Instead, they play the ultimate game because they know they were a healer down. They get a pick onto Jake, and now you're at a 5 versus 5. They will beat down Cool Matt, and as such, they will win the fight. So overall, this is very good from the Boston Uprising. They're setting up the fights properly, and as you said, methodically, they're winning these games.
And you heard the caster say it. It seems like Striker was trying to get in Jake's head. Every time we saw that tire, it's going straight for Jake, and that continued going into game number 4. Now, Houston had a pretty solid final defensive hold, but it wasn't a pretty game across the board here. Neither team gets past point 2. Talk me through what we saw here.
I mean, Neko's sort of tactical crouching, or what you will, emoting.
Oh, yeah. That's the support player showing some love.
Yeah, that pretty much describes the entire map for me. I mean, if the attack was any cleaner, this would have been a disgusting map from the Boston Uprising because they were so dominant on defense. They made it so hard for the Houston Outlaws. They were spawn camping the supports of Houston.
Yes, and I think that it was Dream Casper on the defense that managed to really pull it out. 12-4 on the Widowmaker in the first half, and they've set themselves up with a great win condition. You got to say, Houston Outlaws, they're unbeaten on this map, and they showed hints of it in their defense. They almost full held them on A, but it's the Boston Uprising. They're just they look to be unbeatable at the moment in terms of their matchup against the Houston Outlaws. They just rolled through them slowly and were able to complete the map, take it away from them.
It's a big win for the Boston Uprising today, and only one of their players, unfortunately, is going to walk away with our Player of the Match, sponsored by Omen by HP Honors. Who is it today, boys? Who do you pick?
It has to be Dream Casper,
No,
right?
Neko!
No, Neko! But Dream Casper, he popped off. Oh, he started on Anubis with this Widowmaker, and oh my god, what a performance from him. Linkser, he didn't dare swap to the Widowmaker anymore throughout the series because the momentum was all on Dream Casper. Sick reflect onto Linkser once again. I mean, this guy, you can't deserve it anymore.
Favorite hero for you from Dream Casper today?
I think it's the Pharah. I think the Pharah is... it's up there alongside Fleda. We'd have to see.
Yeah, Fleda and Hydration.
Yes, and Hydration as well. But Dreamcastle may be the best Western flex DPS. You would have to put him up there with people like Fleda, like Prophet, to really. They're players of his caliber now. He was nobody before he came to the Overwatch League, and now he's showing that he is an absolute superstar.
We haven't put him in the top 5 officially yet, but I think he's really close to that. I want to have like a meeting of the minds between all of the analysts and get the rankings for sure. The one thing we do know when it comes to rankings is that Boston's jumping up in our standings. Let's take a look at the overall results. Boston moving up from 6 to 4 with that win, leapfrogging over top of Houston and the Philadelphia Fusion.
And as I said, this could be a very good stage for the Boston Uprising. So if they keep up this momentum, they could actually build quite a significant lead over the other mid-table teams in Philadelphia and the Valiant. So.
And not just a great stage, this could be a great season for the Boston Uprising. I doubt even they were expecting that they would make mid-table, top table. They could end like really high in the playoffs.
Huck knew all along. Huck knew.
This is part of the master plan.
Crazy week. So Boston takes out Philly to kick off the week, and now they take down a Houston squad that just eliminated London. What more is in store for Boston? We'll have to find out next week. For now, though, we know we have the final match of the day. Make some noise, because when we come back, we've got the #1 seeded New York XL taking on #2, the London Spitfire. Doesn't get better than that. We'll be right back.